Hello, and welcome to chemistry. This is just going to be your orientation module. It's just a summary of what you need to do today. And each time that you log in and watch these videos, it's just a reminder of just a couple of the key points that you need. Always go back and look in the Canvas lesson for more information. And if you don't find that in the Canvas lesson, that's when you email me. And who am I? I'm Miss Marchant. I've been teaching chemistry for a very long time. This is just my second year at Virtual Virginia. So first and foremost is a lot of you are wondering, how do I actually get to that chemistry class? So make sure every single day you should go to virtualvirginia.org. And that way you re-log in. If you don't do that every day, it is going to lose the pointers. And so you're going to be working on an assignment and it's just going to time you out. You do not want that to happen. All your assignments, you have unlimited time for until they are due. So just please remember, log in there. And then you're going to click dashboard. I think that shows up on the left-hand side for you students. And the dashboard page looks like this in the background. But you actually got a page all the way down to where it says snapshot. And then you can click on your class. In this case, you'd be clicking on Spanish 1 to get to Spanish 1. All of your Virtual Virginia classes will be listed there. And that is what you're going to do every day. So bookmark virtualvirginia.org to get to your Canvas class. This class will not show up in your other school's Canvas page, so don't look for it there if you have a Canvas page with your home school. Okay, you have to go to virtualvirginia.org. Now, sometimes your live sessions might be too fast for notes. Know how to do screenshots for your particular computer and take screenshots so that you have that as a reference. But don't just use the screenshots as your information. Physically write it down in your notes. That's going to help your pathways set so you remember how to do it. And so if you get lost on something, you're not looking through 1,000 screenshots. Oh, I have a screenshot somewhere. Have it in your physically written notes in order. All right, so here's our periodic table. There is going to be a periodic table on the front page of the Canvas lesson. You can page all the way down. It'll say Chem Resources. Try to print this if at all possible. It's like the #1 thing that you want to print because this has a lot of information on it. It has the chemical symbols, the atomic mass, the atomic number, and the name. And you can see all of that information right there in the little key that's up here at the top. So do remember that you do have a key to help you out. And that's why you want to use this periodic table as opposed to others, because this periodic table is the one that is used on the Virginia SOL. So what is the charge of magnesium? Now, charges are not listed on there, but as we go through the course, I'm going to have you put some like cheat sheets in here. And here are the typical charges for everybody in that family. And that family just means that group. So group 1 is going to be this entire guy. Group 2 would be this entire column. And a group is just another name for a family. Okay, so what is the charge of magnesium? You find magnesium, capital M, lowercase g, and then you see what column it's in. It's in a +2 column. So it has a charge of +2. This is not cheating. You can use the periodic table with all the information written on it on every single test. So that makes that test question that you're going to get later on very simple because your information is there and organized. Again, I'm going to say that many times. Organization is the #1 thing to be successful in this course. Okay, and so again, chemistry class, scroll all the way down and you go to class resources. It's going to give you a copy of that page so that it's in your own Google Drive, and then file, make a bookmark of it either way. And if you don't have Google Documents, then still you can go through and bookmark it so that you always have those resources. Do not use Google. If you notice, one of the test questions, and again, this is a test question, is what is the name of PTO2? And everybody picks platinum oxide from the list of the multiple choice answers. Because guess what? Google said that. And look, it even looks like a good source. The EPA said that. That is not the name of platinum oxide. Okay, it's also not platinum dioxide. Okay, and it's not platinum 4 oxide hydrate. Those are all incorrect. please just use the information in the Canvas lessons, because that's going to make it a lot easier for you all year. And we have that correct information in the Virtual Virginia Canvas lessons. So here's just a couple tips. I'm not going to go over them now, but they are there so that you can remember. Main thing is keep track of your work so that you're organized. When you get something wrong on a quiz, fix it in your physical notebook so that you have a good reference for later. And you can always take 2 attempts on the quizzes and the tests. So take one, wait for me to give feedback so you know where you went off track, and then take it a second time. Now, if you take it a second time after the due date, it will have some late fees attached to it. So just try to take things as soon as you are ready. Okay. 2 to 3 composition books. Yep, that's pretty much what you're going to need. You can probably get away with 1 if you're just doing key terms and definitions. But if you are struggling in math, then you're going to need 2 to 3 composition books, because you're going to want to have a lot of sample problems so you can use that as your reference. And if you figure out at 11:45 that you cannot figure out something, just move on, but send me an email and say, hey, can you go over this at the end of class tomorrow, because I really did not get number 4. Okay. What things do you want to have in your notebook in addition to your notes? Either at the very start, like I have here, or at the very end. You want to have common conversions and units. And that would mean something like 12 inches is a foot, or volume can be measured in milliliters. You want to have equations. Density equals mass over volume. And you want to have polyatomic ions. Sulfate has 1 sulfur, 4 oxygens, and has a -2 charge. So if you want to write those down as headings on different pages, that is great. The other thing that you can do is that Chem Resources page, where you will find that periodic table. It also has a conversion page. So you can always go through there. There's the periodic table. Here's how to submit documents in PDF form. Usually works the best. So if you're struggling there, this is going to help you. Your textbook's written there, how to take notes. But the other thing is this conversion sheet would be helpful in Module 1. And in that conversion sheet, you can go to File and make a copy and then bookmark it so that it is your own personal one to edit. You can't edit this one. This one is mine. But if you go to File, make a copy, and then you can add in everything as you go so that you'll have your units organized, you'll have your conversions organized, and that's really going to help you out later on. And so back here to our items. Don't skip the module. A lot of you like to go to the to-do list because that's what you were taught in the homeschool. And that works if you had an in-person instructor, because they taught you everything and you go to the to-do list and you do your worksheet and your quiz. But we are not going to have a lot of content in the Zooms. The Zooms are only 30 minutes. Each lesson takes about 2 hours. So we only get about a quarter of the stuff done in the Zooms. So I want to remind you, here's a 1.01 application. The application does not mean that it is graded. This is ungraded, but look at all these key terms that you're going to practice using. This is going to help you on the quiz, because the quiz is going to ask you some, but not all of these. So don't skip the module. Click module when you're in Canvas and click on the lesson and do everything that you can in that module to maximize your points. I'll do something like a little snapshot. So for 1.1, this is my only snapshot that I'm going to show you for that. And one is I'm going to give you the equation. So that's an equation you want to add to your equation sheet. This thing comes up like every module. It's going to ask, what is the percent error? And you guys are going to go, I don't know what percent error is. We didn't do that. And we did, but we did it way back in module 1. So when you get to module 6, you're not going to remember, and you might get a 0 on it. And this is actually a pretty basic concept. But if you have all your equations written down in your notebook, you can go back, oh, percent error, here it is, so that you have it. And what does percent error mean? Percent error means that how far is it away from the target? So it would be this picture right here. Okay, it is all close to the center of the target. Okay, and this one also says there's high accuracy, and that's because every single one is the same distance or less from the target. Okay, so it made it on the target. It wasn't like way out here, not even close to the target. And that little screenshot up there, there's an actual one in the lesson where it goes into precision and other information. So you might want to go through the lesson and get a lot of details on that. Other than that, lesson 1.1 does not have a lot of meat in it. Accuracy and precision is the most important one. So that's what I'm going to concentrate here. But it's also the one that you might need to concentrate more or less, depending on how your background knowledge is. So what's my sample problem? Okay, we found copper to be 8.9 grams per milliliter. So that is the density of copper, okay, in the test that the student did. Okay, so this is the tested value that was done in the lab. But copper is listed as 8.96 in the ASTM measurement guide. Okay, so that means this is the experiment or the actual value or the true value. Okay, so 8.96 is the true value and 8.9 is the experimental value. So that's what we would use when we substitute it into this equation on the right. And notice experimental could be lab, measured, observed. So you could have all this information written in your sample one so that when you take the test, you can use that page and it'll say, oh, it said measured. Which one's measured? Oh, measured is experimental. So I know it's going to go into this spot on the equation. Oh, it said reference value. So I know this is the true value. So it would go over on these two spots on here. So make sure you have all those synonyms written down so that in module 7, you don't go, it says observed here. I haven't used observed yet. They want you to get through it. And then I just substitute that information in each spot. 8.9 minus 8.96 gives me a negative, but remember these absolute value bars mean that you always turn it into a positive. So the numerator would be 0.06 divided by 8.96. And that's going to give me a decimal value, and I got to turn it into a percent. So I multiply it by 100. Okay, so it would be 0.67% would be my answer. Okay, it told me to round it to the hundredths place. The hundredths just means 2 decimal places. So 2 decimal places, I always look at the next guy, that's a 9, so I'm going to round up. So instead of 0.66, I'm 0.67. Right. So what do we know? If you do not have your login information yet, so you haven't been able to see Canvas and you can't get on through Virtual Virginia, email your counselor so they can get that to you right away. Okay. Make sure you complete the orientation assignments today. Don't just go to the to-do list. Make sure you go to modules and then click through the whole thing. Okay. Email if you get stuck on submitting, but also there is no late fees for the orientation this week. Just get it in this week. So if you don't have your login today, you don't have to email me and say, I don't have my login. Okay. Because you're probably going to get it in the next couple of days, and then you will not have any late fees as long as you get the orientation in this week. If on Friday you still do not have your login, that's when you email me. Okay. Take notes on 1.1 tonight. Just at least the key terms and the definitions. And if you're like, oh yeah, I got this, and I got that snapshot from the orientation today, I'm going to go ahead and take my quiz. After you take the quiz, if you think you're still pretty good, you could take it a second time. Remember, there's only 2 times allowed. So you might want to only take it once and then go back and review. And if you don't think you're going to get 100% on the next one, then wait and ask me some questions since that's not due till tomorrow. Okay, so that's how you want to kind of judge things on when you have to do them. Okay, if you're feeling good and you want to go ahead, fine. Your job is to get 100% on every worksheet and every lab so that if you have a problem with the quiz, you still come out passing. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everything. So have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. There'll be a review lesson always posted for every Zoom session. It's just going to be shorter with less practice problems.